Hi, everyone. So good to meet all of you here today. This is indeed a special session, and we'll start the session in a couple of minutes, just allowing everybody else to join in and settle down. But in the meanwhile, I would encourage all of you to use the chat box and introduce yourself. Tell us a little about your business, what you deal in, and how one can reach out to you. So nice to see all of you here today. One thing to note for this session is that we will have a Q&A session after the speaker has finished presenting. So please do send in any of your questions that you'd like to ask to the speaker in the Q&A box and not in the chat section, because they tend to get missed out. You can use the chat box to interact with each other, to network with one another. I can see a couple of members have started using it as well. In the past sessions, we've seen that a lot of members, while using this opportunity to network with one another, have made business connections and explored business opportunities. So this is your time. Tell us as well as each other what you deal in, what your business is about, as well as how one can reach out to you. So we have about 3 minutes left to get started. I'll pause here for a minute to see if everything is working fine. Again, a very warm welcome to all of you. We've had a couple of sessions in the past from this particular speaker that most of you have always given very good feedback about. So we thought we can have one more detailed round of session from him. His name is Mr. Vedanarayanan Vedantham. He actually has helped build and grow various digital products ranging from fintech, health tech, edtech, and online travel. In fact, he is a visiting faculty member at many these schools across the world, ranging from IIM Ahmedabad to IIM Bangalore, NUS Singapore, University of Wellington, University of Vermont, IIM in the Indore, IIM Kashipur. So it's honestly a pleasure to have him spend his valuable time and share insights with all of us. Now, let me tell you a little about the way we do these sessions. GlobalLinker has set up a property called GlobalLinker Growth Talks. And what does this mean? So it's honestly bringing together the forces of industry specialists and domain experts to share practical knowledge and tips with all business owners like yourself, with MSMEs, in a series of growth-focused webinars. So each webinar actually is a catalyst for business growth by presenting actionable insights in a crisp, meaningful, and interactive format. We're proud to have conducted many of these sessions and have received very good feedback. So again, while we wait for all the other members to join in, please use the chat box to introduce yourself. I can see there are members from across various cities. There are businesses that are into B2C, into exports, into B2B. There's somebody into laminates versus somebody into saris and professional services. So a very warm welcome to all of you. I think what's important to note is that networking is key. And we oftentimes see that when we network with each other, even small tasks can be done in such a creative way that it honestly ignites the spark within you. Okay, so it's 5:05 and we have our speaker here as well. Hello and welcome, Veda.
Hi. So sorry I got delayed. Hi, Malvika. Hi, everybody. Hi, good evening.
No problem. I think the audience is eagerly waiting for you to get started as well. So I just happened to introduce about the GlobalLinker Growth Talk series, as well a brief introduction about you, although a lot of members have attended your sessions in the past when we organized it, and absolutely wonderful feedback. So each one of them are looking forward to today's session as well. And of course, a very critical aspect that you'd like to cover. So over to you, Veda. We'll do the session in a way where I've told them that we'll leave ample amount of time towards the end to do a detailed Q&A, such that their queries can also be solved.
Yep. Thank you so much, Malavika. Thank you so much to the GlobalLinker audience who've turned up here on this is what, a Thursday, right? Thursday evening at 5 o'clock. I hope all of you are doing great. Your employees, your startups, your colleagues, everybody is doing great. Thank you so much for having me here once again. Very excited. Let me just take a quick moment to share my screen.
Sure. Again, for the audience, while Mr. Veda is checking everything is working fine or not, please, I'm repeating again, please use the Q&A section to ask any questions. Oftentimes in the chat box, it gets missed out. So we don't want any of your queries to be missed. Okay, so we can see your screen as well.
Awesome. So what we're going to do over the next, we've got an hour approximately. So what we'll do is I'll wrap the content, like Malavika said, in around 30-40 minutes. We'll leave the last 20-30 minutes for Q&A, open-ended, unstructured question and answers. So what I'll attempt to do over the next few minutes or so is to address some top of mind questions, which a lot of entrepreneurs in my conversations, I've heard them actually talk about. What I do is, obviously I'm a marketing leader at Microsoft India. I used to previously take care of the SMB in the startup business at Razorpay, which was the time I got introduced to Malavika and the GlobalLinker program. I also serve as a marketing mentor with various startup acceleration programs, various TIE chapters, VC funds, etc. So I have had the opportunity to interact with quite a few startups and entrepreneurs from across the length and breadth of the country. And some of the top of mind questions that I'm often asked is, should I position my product as a premium one, or should it be positioned as more massy? If I do it, will my brand value get eroded? It's a big question that a lot of entrepreneurs have, and they don't have a very data-backed way to actually validate this. So we'll attempt to answer some of these questions and also take you through some of, some interesting experiences that we went through. I used to take care of marketing for a company called Healthify Me before Razorpay, which had both a B2C and a B2B business. Likewise, at Simply Learn, which again had B2C and B2B from health tech and edtech spaces. So I'll talk about some of my experiences from these places. And the other key question is, how do I choose which marketing channel? Right? It's a big question that a lot of people again have. How do I decide which is the marketing channel that's right for me? So let's answer the first question first. I'll take you through some experiences that we were faced with at. Let me start with the Healthify Me example. So at Healthify Me, we had this huge debate whether we should talk about, for example, weight loss. Healthify Me, for those of you who are unaware, is a freemium mobile application. It has over 25 billion users. And it's India's largest health and fitness mobile app. It's freemium because certain aspects of the mobile app service are free, certain are premium or paid for. The free services involve the world's largest database of Indian foods that are mapped to accurate calorie breakdowns. So regardless of whatever authentic cuisine from any far-flung part of the country that you've had, you'll be able to track how many vitamins, carbs you've consumed, how many calories you've consumed, etc., etc. You've gone for a 5-kilometer jog, you'll know how many calories you've burnt. It makes you more mindful of your calorie intake and output. And of course, that's a free service. The premium service is creating personalized health, fitness, and diet plans, nutrition, fitness, and yoga plans as per the health goals of the user. Now, at Healthify Me, again, we had this huge conundrum because all of the other players, CultFit included, which was a key competitor, they positioned their brand as very youthful, as very quote-unquote aspirational. They never spoke about the elephant in the room, which was weight loss. Right? They spoke about everything else. They spoke about, becoming fitter, getting a better partner because you're looking better now, etc., etc. But they never spoke about the elephant in the room, which was weight loss in as many words. Whereas we went the other end of the spectrum, where we directly addressed the elephant in the room because we knew from data and from keyword research. And I've mentioned this in my earlier sessions that one of the most critical elements of an early stage startup's digital marketing toolkit is to have a keyword research platform. You should certainly invest in one that's fairly cost effective. I'm going to give you some names. SEO Moz is my personal favorite. There is, of course, SEM Rush, and there is Ahrefs. So subscribe for all of these platforms. These are B2B SaaS platforms. Again, freemium, certain aspects are free, certain aspects are paid for. I would certainly recommend this. So we knew from our research that Indians were searching for weight loss programs. And India has had the unfortunate distinction back in 2017 of becoming the weight loss capital, the obesity, not the weight loss, sorry, obesity capital of the world. And we knew that we had to address the elephant in the room. So we directly did not shy away from addressing the elephant in the room, which was weight loss. In all of our communications, we spoke about weight loss. We spoke about how Indians were able to achieve authentic transformations before and after transformations after using the application. Whereas Cult Fit used people who already looked like Greek gods, a Hrithik Roshan, a Milind Soman, or very good-looking models. Whereas we used everyday people like you and me, right, who went through life transformation stories after having used the application, and we were nutrition-led. Because we knew from data again that people were searching for right diet plans as opposed to the right kind of gym or the right kind of a workout. More than searching for squats and bicep curls, which is what a Cult Fit was focused on, people are actually searching for what should I eat, which can help me lose weight. So we decided to focus on things like these. So this was again back, ingrained in data. So this was the key question, a fundamental existential question that we had, and we addressed that using data. That was number one. The second example, just to address this, is our experiences at Simplilearn. Simplilearn, like a lot of you would be aware, is one of the world's leading edtech companies today, providing online professional certification solutions in digital marketing, data science, project management, etc., etc. And that again, we had this huge debate whether we should, like in the weight loss conundrum that we had at Healthify Me, we thought, should we talk about certifications? Right, the fact that we provide you certifications. I'm not just going to make Malavika learn, but I'm going to offer her a certificate and provide certifications. Is that a critical element of the brand's value proposition? Because it might dilute the value of the learning that we're actually imparting to a Malavika as a student. That was a huge debate, again, internally. And what we noticed was, from keyword research and from consumer research, that Indians did not really value learning for the sake of learning or for the joy of learning. But Indians wanted learning which had a very certain tangible end goal, where there was a very well-defined tangible pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That is what Indians really wanted. And the price premium that we were commanding, Simplilearn courses cost, 15, 20, 25,000 rupees plus, which is a fairly significant investment of money. Right? Unlike, say, Udemy, a lot of these massive online course providers who provided courses almost for free, or for $5, $10, $15, etc. The courses that Simplilearn offered were at a significant premium. So for us to be able to command that premium and to be able to make sure that the company's business fundamentals remain strong and keeping in line with what the key customer need states were, we decided that certification is a critical component of the brand's value proposition, because in the absence of that certification, we really can't command this price premium, and the Indians won't see value in shelling out 15, 20,000 rupees for a course which does not even have a certificate from a reliable authority which is being offered. So for a project management, we tied up with the PMP, certifying authority. For cloud certification, we tied up with Microsoft, with AWS, etc., etc. And that is how we provided co-branded certifications, and that was important, and that was a critical component of the entire brand's value proposition. So that's a key question for you to handle upfront, whether you need to be massy, whether you need to be aspirational, right? You need to let data make these decisions for you. And as an ally, as a corollary to this entire decision, is this question, which a lot of entrepreneurs have. This I might have addressed in some of my earlier sessions, but I think it's worth a refresher because it's been almost 2 years since I spoke to you, spoke to the GlobalLinker audience. The key question that I'm often asked is, Veda, I understand all aspects of digital marketing, SEM, Google mujhe pata hai, Facebook mujhe pata hai, but help me understand mere dhande ke liye. How do I prioritize? What should be my number one priority? This also ties back to the customer persona discussion and a targeting discussion, and I'll take you through that in just a minute. So the key question is this, right? How do you prioritize between all of these usual suspects which you see in front of you, which are your key digital channels, Facebook, SEM, SEO, LinkedIn, etc. So the key question that a lot of folks have is they understand each of these individually, but they don't understand which to prioritize. They've got limited resources, limited mind space. How do they decide which one to prioritize as the number one? Numero uno priority. In that lens, some of the key questions that you as an entrepreneur need to ask yourself. Let's put Malavika in the entrepreneur shoes. I'm going to put you on the hotspot, Malavika. I hope you don't mind. Let's say Malavika runs a startup, and she wants to know, Veda, listen, I understand all this. Mujhe batao ki mere zindagi ke liye main kya karu? Right, ma'am, I don't have infinite resources. I'm not Amazon. I'm not Flipkart. How do I prioritize? So the key question Malavika needs to ask herself is, am I a small fish in a really large pond with a lot of other small fishes, or am I a large fish in a small pond? Which means, is she operating in a blue ocean where the market is already there, or is she operating in a fairly constrained market, which is a sunrise category, right? So which essentially means the category you're operating in, is that niche or is that mass where you're making an entry into? And there are multiple ways in which she can answer this as an entrepreneur. She has this gut-based instinct that tells her whether she's mass or niche. She sells t-shirts online versus conducting mental wellness classes online, so which is niche probably. But for you to have a more data-backed way to validate this, again, open up any of these keyword research tools that I spoke to you about earlier. I put it down in the chat, or open up Google AdWords, good old Google AdWords, within which there is this tool called as the keyword planner. Open that up. That's free, right? And it gives you insights on, for a particular keyword in your category, in your target market, what is the kind of monthly keyword search volume out there, which is like the cheapest and fastest market research ever. I don't really know why in this day and age people waste time in statistical sampling and door-to-door sampling and door-to-door research, because you've got all of the data and the insights that you need from Google keyword trends. All you need to do is to look at all of those insights, look at all of that data, which is residing in Google, search terms, because that gives you a key sneak peek into what is it that your prospects and customers are searching for. What are their key need states? What are the key motivation points? What are the key inertia points? It gives you a quick pulse of what your customers are actually looking for. Now, open up Google Keyword Planner, and it's not a perfect science. It is a part art. And you can go with this rule of thumb assumption that if your target geography is India, or a country which has a comparable internet population size as India, if your monthly keyword search volumes for core keywords related to your business are in excess of 20 to 25,000 searches every month, the category you're operating in is fairly mass. If it's less than that, it's niche. Now, what do you do if you're mass? Or what does Malavika do? She's mass. She's lucky enough to be in a category where she's not done anything, right? She's not put in any hard work, but her competitors have, or somebody else already has put in the hard work, and user behavior is already manifesting on core keywords related to her business at scale on Google search. All she needs to do is to piggyback and to ride that wave. So which makes Google search, a combination of SEM and SEO, a number one priority. Yeah. And I'm sure everybody here understands search engine marketing, which means when somebody searches for something on Google, you've got search results popping up. So all of the ads which you see on top are an outcome of your search engine marketing efforts. All of the organic listings that you see below the ads are an outcome of your SEO, organic ranking efforts, where you try to optimize your website's content to rank higher and higher in Google's organic search ranking algorithm. Now, in this case, like I said, Malavika is lucky enough to find herself in a category where there is already existing keyword demand patterns out there. All she has to do is to piggyback and to ride the wave. Now, she may not be Amazon, she may not be Flipkart, she may not be able to create net new user behavior that she can ride the wave on, but what she can very well do is to ride the wave on existing demand patterns which are already there. Now, what happens if she's not that lucky, right? She's operating in a niche category. What does she do? So she doesn't directly go to Facebook, but she asks herself an additional question. Am I operating in a category that is high on personal connect, that is high on emotional connect, where I have the opportunity as an entrepreneur, as a marketer, to inject a very strong visual element into my marketing communication? If so, you make Facebook a focus. For example, health tech is a great example. Weight loss, right? The space that we operated in at Healthify, great example, because you're enabling people to discover healthier and fitter versions of themselves. All of the stuff that we did in terms of marketing were video-led testimonials, which showed before and after imagery and life stories, authentic life retelling. So people are before using the app and after using the app. All of this check, right? High emotional content, videos, testimonials works really well on Facebook. Fashion is another category which works particularly well on Facebook. A lot of these are, of course, more applicable for B2C. I know a lot of you in the audience might be B2B entrepreneurs as well. Key thing, if you are in the B2B space and the key decision makers, right, in your list of target companies and the influencers for the decision. So there are two personas that matter in a B2B environment, buying decision maker and influencer. If both of them are white collar professionals, fairly active on LinkedIn becomes a logical choice. For example, at Healthify, again, we had a very strong, a lot of people don't know this, we had a very strong B2B practice as well, where we provided employee wellness engagement solutions for a lot of large corporate houses in the country. McKinsey, Cognizant, Infosys, TCS, etc. So the CHRO, Chief Human Resource Officer, or a director of HR and above were the key decision makers, because they were in charge of the mandate of employee engagement, employee wellness. And of course, the CXO, even if they were outside of the HR function, they were the ones who were in charge of, who were the key influencers, because they were senior enough to influence a decision. So we use LinkedIn as a logical choice for us. But of course, digital always doesn't have to be the answer. I've consulted, mentored multiple edtech companies that are selling to schools, where the school principal is the primary decision maker. And unfortunately, in India, not a lot of school principals are on LinkedIn yet. Hopefully that will change in the future. So you could of course try a YouTube or a Facebook, etc., but it's not going to be very ROI positive because you're using a very mass platform for going after a very niche audience set. So in such cases, I often recommend to them, don't even look for answers in digital. Look for a more high touch, acquisition channel like events, or going for channel partnerships with a channel partner who already has the network established with these schools. That's a suggestion that I often provide. Of course, now coming back to our original train of thought, what happens if Malavika is extremely unlucky? Right, where she's operating in a niche category, which means there are not a lot of search volume on Google search she can piggyback on. And to make matters worse, she's operating in a category where by definition, the personal connect is low. There are some categories where it just doesn't happen. Like for example, at Razorpay, we had this very, very similar problem. Just seeing if there are any questions now. Yeah, so a few chats. So Razorpay, like a lot of you know, is a B2B payments platform. It's not a peer-to-peer payments platform like a Google Pay or a Phone Pay, right? And or a Paytm. Razorpay provides end-to-end money movement services for businesses, small, medium, and large startup entrepreneurs like yourself. Invert money movement cycle through its suite of payment solutions, Razorpay X, Razorpay, Capital, etc., which provides lines of working capital, credit, and so on and so forth. Now, at Razorpay, there were not a lot of keyword search volumes on Google search because it's about B2B payments. It's not very massy. It's a B2B. It's operating in the B2B category. And to make matters worse, personal connect is slow. It's not like weight loss, right? An entrepreneur doesn't wake up in the morning and jump out of bed and get excited about the fact that they want to use a payment product today, right? That's just the nature of the category itself. So what did we do? We went after keywords that were slightly neighboring to the core jurisdiction of the business, which is core digital payments, slightly adjacent to the entire realm of digital payments. And we went slightly out of our comfort zone. So we did keyword research again. We leveraged SEO Moz, and we figured out which were the key keyword pools where our target customer persona, which is the entrepreneur persona, people like you, were actually searching for at scale, because there are not a lot of keyword search volumes in core B2B payments, payment gateway, payment link, those kinds of keyword pools. So we essentially fixated on 3 specific keyword areas. One is digital literacy, financial literacy, and compliance. So essentially, we created content on the blog around how do you, from a digital literacy perspective, you have a lot of entrepreneurs searching for how do you grow your startup's digital brand presence? How do you use digital marketing for growing your business? How do you build a social media brand presence? Creating content around these. From a financial literacy perspective, a lot of entrepreneurs come from a tech background. They have no clue how a P&L and a balance sheet work. How do you read a P&L and a balance sheet as a first-time entrepreneur? Compliance. How do you navigate the GST compliance maze? GST tax calculator. We created content around these. Now you might turn around and ask, what is the relevance for all of these content pieces to Razorpay's business? Not a lot, yes. But the relevance for a lot of these content pieces to my target customer, which is the entrepreneur persona, is a lot. And more importantly, the kind of keyword search volumes for these keyword pools are significantly larger than the kind of keyword search volumes for core B2B payment centric keywords. So we essentially brought these prospects in, engaged, nurtured them over time to convert them into paying customers. Yes, people coming in here, although they are still relevant from a demographic targeting perspective, I'm not getting college kids here. I'm still getting entrepreneurs into my funnel. But of course, they're not in a state of mind where they have the highest levels of intent for buying a payments product from me. Granted, but they are still relevant entrepreneur person. I've just caught them at a different point in their life cycle journey when they are searching for something different. So it gives my brand exposure to a larger eyeball universe because the number of people searching for these keywords are much larger. It helps me bring them in, gets my brand exposed to a larger eyeball universe, helps me bring them in into my funnel, engage, nurture them over time, and convert them into paying customers. Like I said, at Healthify, we write largest freemium app. Inertia was a huge trust barrier. We went about our playbook in a completely different fashion to cultivate, right? They use people like Hrithik Roshan, who already look like Greek gods. We went the other end of the spectrum. We use everyday people to actually convey the message, focused a lot on high empathy, video testimonials. Like I said, Facebook was the #1 acquisition channel for us. But we went through a very interesting process as part of the entire prioritization conundrum. We said Google is not going to work. We discarded it because when we first started mobile app marketing back in 2016, 2017, that was when Google launched something called as UAC campaigns, Universal App Campaigns. Universal App Campaigns essentially are a way of mobile marketing where you essentially say, in Google Baba we trust. And you give Google your Play Store listing, your iTunes listing, your creatives, and Google decides whom to run ads to and when. You have very limited control. And as advertisers and marketers, everybody hates giving up control. So essentially here again, when we first launched it, results were very poor. We thought we should discard it. But what we did was instead of discarding, we still continued to run it, with small increments every single month, even though the results were not great. The targeting wasn't great. The quality of leads coming in weren't very great. So what we did was we implemented something called as a Google Pixel, which is a small piece of JavaScript code, which you can embed into your mobile application, mobile websites, front-end code, which executes every single time the app loads or the page renders. That sounds complicated. Let me just break that down for you. Think of it as a simple mole or a spy that is sitting within your application, feeding information back to its masters, which in this case is Google. So let's say that I have Malavika who comes and registers on the Health Family application. She has just completed an upstream life cycle event in her life cycle of engagement of the application. I call it upstream because it's fairly early on in her life cycle of engagement. I send this, the Google Pixel runs, I send this information back into the Google ecosystem of Malavika without revealing any PII, personally identifiable information. I reveal Malavika's, digital browsing habits, a psychographic profile, demographic profile. Let's say Malavika is a millennial from Mumbai who loves fashion, who loves the Mumbai Indians. For example, I send this information back. Now, essentially, I give Google information of Malavika's, what I like to call digital Janam Kundali. That's what I give Google information on. Now, Malavika continues to spend time on the app. She continues to consume content. I send this information back. Eventually, she purchases a 6-month yoga plan for 8,000 rupees. And I send this information back again into the Google ecosystem. And I tell Google, hey, listen, by the way, this is the most important piece of information. Give more weightage to this action by Malavika because she's just turned from being a free user to becoming a paying customer. So give this more credence. Now, what I tell Google is, Google, listen, I like Malavika. Go find me 100 more digital clones of Malavika. Now, Google has these ML AI-based algorithms, which does this reverse engineering and tries to find more digital clones of Malavika who have the same digital Janam Kundali as Malavika. And the algorithm's accuracy is limited when it has a small data set to play with. So what we did was we persisted with it. And over time, instead of giving it information of one Malavika, asking it to find the next 100, if we fed it information of 1,000 Malavikas and asked it to find the next 100,000, its accuracy improved. Google became very close second to Facebook. And this is what I like to call inside-out targeting, which is data back and based on user behavior. The traditional form of user targeting, which a lot of entrepreneurs fall prey to, is outside-in targeting, wherein they decide who the ideal target customer persona is, and they run campaigns towards that source of truth. Here, like everybody else, we thought at Health Family that the millennial was the ideal customer persona. Turns out it wasn't. It was actually people like me who are older than the millennial bracket, who are less fit, more prone to lifestyle conditions, who had a greater ability to pay, who are the ideal customer persona. So here you're letting data and you're letting user behavior either validate or challenge your original hypothesis on who your ideal customer persona is. Because with these pixels in place, these platforms automatically reorient themselves to target customer persona buckets which convert better because they try to optimize for conversion. So this is what I like to call inside-out targeting. App Store optimization, we did a lot of that. Think of it as SEO's cousin, but for the app ecosystem. All of the efforts that you undertake to make sure that your app's listing shows up on top on the Play Store and on the iTunes Store for relevant user search queries. We partnered with, the ASO.co, which is one of the world's leading ASO design agencies based in London. They work with quite a few large Indian brands, Swiggy, Flipkart, Snapdeal, etc. So we partnered with them and we did a really good job of ASO. They really helped improve our organic rankings, which meant that even during months and quarters when VC funding dried up and we didn't have money to run paid marketing campaigns, our scale never dropped because organic rankings had picked up. We did a lot of in-app marketing as well, and which was very targeted, right? We used a very sophisticated lead scoring algorithm, leveraging a marketing automation tool called MoEngage. And we targeted people based on a variety of different behavioral and demographic attributes. Somebody visits my pricing page 3 times in, say, a week. I know that person is interested. Give that person a high lead score. Somebody using an iPhone versus an Android phone, which I know historically converts better. Give that person a higher lead score. Somebody is older versus a younger persona, everything else being the same. Give the older person a higher lead score. Somebody having a hypertension, that person is paranoid to improve their health. Give that person a higher lead score. Things like these. And basis a series of these variables, we created a blended lead score. And the top 10-15 percentile, the creme de la creme of these lead scores, of these lead score cohorts, we targeted them with specific in-app interventions. Malavika, are you interested in a 1-hour, no strings attached, free diet consultation with my top nutritionist? Somebody else, are you interested in a 7-day free trial, etc., etc. We did a lot of email marketing as well. As soon as a lead comes in, we don't leave because the average time sales cycle for us at Health Family was approximately 4 weeks. So we couldn't just leave the leads high and dry for the entire period of 4 weeks. So we used to engage, nurture them on email in a sustained fashion to make sure they stay warm to the brand when the salesperson actually makes that call. We also implemented AMP, which is a 101 from a mobile marketing perspective, which ensures a simple infrastructural code tweak to your mobile website's page to make sure it loads really quickly, and which is very important from a mobile SEO perspective. Razorpay, again, like I said, India's largest platform, a lot of latent need for users. They didn't need but the latent need never surfaced on Google search, which is a problem. Like I said earlier, there is no strong emotional connect, as far as Razorpay is concerned, unlike say, weight loss or health tech. So what did we do? We went after, slightly neighboring keywords, which were slightly adjacent to the immediate realm of relevance of the business: digital literacy, financial literacy, and compliance. Here again, it's simply learn. Huge problem, right? There are a lot of competition from global multinational companies, massive online, course providers like Udemy, etc. Udacity was another player which was, snapping at our heels. There was a huge trust deficit again, which we had to talk about. Big problem. Should we talk about? Should we not talk about certifications, right? Which was a big problem. We solved for it, like I said, because we believed that the ASP that we were commanding, we needed people to buy into the premise of having a certification. Otherwise, they would not be willing to pay that kind of a premium. It was 15,000-20,000 rupees in India. It was $250-300, right? Or upwards. If I'm not wrong, the master's program was $500 in the United States. So for significant price premium that we were asking for, which required the stamp of a certification. In summary, your customer and your brand's USP, be very clear on what your brand's USP is and what your customer need states are. You can validate this in multiple ways. One biggest way in which you can validate this is from keyword research, because keyword research gives you a fantastic sneak peek into what is it that customers are actually asking for. Also scan your competition to figure out what your USP is. Keyword research can't help you there. Unfortunately, you still need to be clear on what is your differentiation vis-a-vis competition. Your category, the space that you belong to, whether it is a sunrise one, whether it is a mature category, will decide what are your key go-to priority zero marketing channels. That's all I had for you today. Thank you once again for the opportunity. I'd love to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Veda, for that insightful session, right from inside out marketing to ASO and the various activities that you took on at the organizations that you mentioned about, ranging from Healthify to Simply Learn. We have a couple of questions. I think this is the most interesting bit as well, when we get to answer all of these. So I'll take on the first question from Mr. Hamsavardhan. He says, hello, Veda, my startup, which is early stage, prototype stage, entering the mass aspirational home building market. We're introducing factory-made buildings or buildings as products with an integrated app that allows customers to select and customize or design from scratch. Basically, it's an online design build prefab technology. What would you say will be the best channel or set of channels to sell these large ticket-sized products? And also a first-time experience for our customers. Veda, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Interesting product, Hamsavardhan. Question that I have is, are you selling directly to customers? Or are you selling to architects?
Mr. Hamsavardhan, you would like to possibly also unmute yourself. We can have a live interaction. Adnan, can you help Mr. Hamsavardhan unmute? Okay, so while he's trying to do that, we'll go on to the next. He says it's direct.
So multiple things, Hamsavardhan. What I would suggest is, if it's direct, I think India is a fairly mature market now. What you could do is you could look at, employ the same framework that I had mentioned earlier. First of all, check if there is enough search volume on Google search. That's number one, which is relevant or slightly adjacent to the realm of relevance of your business. That's one. And try to see if you can create content in your blog, which can make sure that you get a piece of that action, if I had to borrow a mafia term, and you have an opportunity to bubble up your website's content during specific moments of truth when a user is searching for keywords in and around your space. That is one. To me, you need to validate what the keyword research numbers are. My gut tells me that you should see fairly sizable keyword research numbers. Keyword search trends already on Google search. So make Google search your focus, I would recommend. The second thing is, as a plan B, as a backup channel, if you have the budgets, what I would certainly recommend is experiments which you run on Facebook. The third thing that I would also suggest is work with architects as channel partners, which I'm sure you've thought of yourself. I think architects are a great fit for you to partner with, working with the architect community. That is one that I would recommend. And in terms of running pilots on paid marketing, and this is a question that I often hear, I'm sure this audience will also have, which is on how much should I spend? in marketing, right? Where do I start? There is no real number. There is no magic figure. If you are starting up with no historical data up front, of course, everybody can give you fancy terms like customer lifetime value, cost of customer acquisition, the CLTV multiple, CLTV CAC multiple needs to be 5, etc. But for a company starting out just now, it means nothing because they have no historical data. So one of the things for you to keep in mind is, I would in fact go to the extent of saying, don't spend on paid marketing upfront during your initial stages. See if you can extract the maximum possible monetization juice from your organic marketing efforts and see if you can leverage that. And once you've managed to extract all of the possible juice from organic marketing, customer referrals, those kinds of channels, then you run experiments on paid marketing, but just enough so that you can get a critical mass of early adopters into your system so that you can validate your PMF, product market fitment assumptions. What is that critical mass number? What is that golden number? My experience tells me that if you're the B2C business, or even if you're B2B selling to startups and SMBs, right? You get 100 leads into your system, shut off paid marketing, see if your product is good enough to convert them. If you're selling to high-end B2B clients, get 5 leads into your system, shut off paid marketing, see if your product is good enough to convert. Hope that answered your question, Amshavardhan. Wish you all the very best.
Right. Moving to the next question, Veda, and just for context, at GlobalLinker, we have over 4 lakh plus MSMEs across the world, which are ranging from, let's say, industrial, B2B, B2C, D2C. So it's a varied audience. And Mr. Sorin Gandhi here asks, while I understand about marketing and positioning for a product or a service, what would you recommend for an industrial product?
So in this case, I'm assuming, Sorin, you're selling to B2B. This is B2B where you're selling, say, products to large enterprises, I would imagine. So in this case, Sorin, I would imagine, who are the key personae that matter? I would imagine somebody who's like a procurement head or a supply chain head. Those would be some of the key personae to whom you're selling to, I would think. So again, here, try to see if a lot of these people, I think one of the things that you can do is create a list of named accounts, which you already must have, of target companies that you want to sell to in India. And then create your designations, the designations of people to whom you want to sell to in these companies. And if you upload them, create a LinkedIn advertising account. And if you upload them on the LinkedIn advertising platform, the advertising platform will tell you how many such companies have LinkedIn pages and how many profiles are available for you to target on LinkedIn in India, if India is your target market. And then you can run account-based marketing campaigns where you target these specific people, rooms of the house, right, in these specific organizations with your message. You don't pay for anybody else. You don't target anybody else. No riffraff. Only these people. That would be my recommendation to, what was the person's name? Sorry.
Sorin.
Sorin, hope that answered your question. Wish you all the best.
Right. And just on similar lines, there are 2 members here who ask about how do we really position or market a service. For example, Mr. Raghu's service is technical consultancy for textile factories or organizations.
I think it's an interesting one. I think if it is a service, it's always more difficult because you have a lot of variability which is brought in. The key framework tenets that I mentioned earlier, they stay the same in terms of figuring out what are the marketing channels to use. But what changes essentially is your go-to-market in terms of how you're offering your product, making it consumable for your audiences. Especially if you're offering a service, like for example, Healthify is primarily service. It's a product plus service, but a lot of it is about the quality of the nutritionist or the diet consultant. However cool the app might be, however cool its AI technology might be, your perception of the brand as a customer is determined by how good your nutritionist is, how good your yoga trainer is, how good your fitness trainer is. Doesn't matter. Everything else is smoke in a coffee house. What matters at the end of the day is the quality of the service that you get. So the framework tenets stay the same. But what you've got to do is explore freemium options to make sure that your product is amenable so people get a taste of what you have to offer. They can cross over the inertia barrier because in general, everything else being the same, if you're offering a service versus a product, people will have 10,000 more questions because there is a lot of variability that comes in. Right? Because the human element comes in, and with when a human element comes in, a lot of variability comes in. When variability comes in, questions come in. Your sales cycles get longer. So make sure that you invest a lot of energies, not just in acquisition, but also on engagement and nurturing. So if your sales cycle is 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, which is the average time it takes for a prospect to become a paying customer, you should engage and nurture them over this time frame with relevant content. That becomes very important. You need to have some kind of a freemium play or a POC kind of a product or a 30-day free trial, something on those lines, which makes people get a sense of what you have to offer. Hope that answered your question. Wish you all the best.
Right. So we are moving now quickly to the next question. There are two set of audiences that I can see. For example, Mr. Dheeraj, he says keyword volume is very less for his type of business, which is into construction equipment manufacturing, versus there's somebody called Mr. Haridas. He says it's a very saturated market with big and medium small players. How do I grow using digital marketing? What channel do I use? So what is your advice to Dheeraj and Haridas?
Look, would request you to leverage the framework that I had mentioned earlier. I think Mr. Haridas, I think you are lucky enough to be in a category where there is already a lot of search volume out there for you. So one of the things that you should do is invest in a keyword research tool, one of the keyword research tools that I mentioned. And the keyword research tools enter your website there. They will actually crawl your website and give you recommendations on which are the keywords on which you need to create content on. And along with that, we'll give you two very interesting data points. One is it will tell you keyword search volume, high, medium, low. Second is it will tell you ranking difficulty. The mistake that most startups make is they go after high demand keywords. They find it next to impossible to rank because you will most likely have well-entrenched competition already ranking on page one for high demand keywords. They try for 9-12 months. They're unable to break into page one. As you know, in Google, if you're not on page one, it's as good as you not being there. Nobody goes to page two and they lose motivation. So what you should instead do is have a flanking strategy. Go after medium and low demand keywords where the ranking difficulty is low, where your chance of success is higher, and then build from that. That's what I would recommend for Haridas. For the other gentlemen for whom there is not a lot of search volume, I would recommend the Razorpay approach if you can. I'm assuming you still have a large enough market. Razorpay had a large enough market, right? India's startup ecosystem is huge. It's just that searches for digital payments didn't manifest on Google search. So we went after slightly adjacent keywords. That's what I would recommend, where you still go after the persona of your customers, but go after slightly adjacent keywords, which are still relevant for your target customers. So you're not getting irrelevant prospects. You're still getting relevant prospects at a different point in their life cycle journey. You can engage, nurture them, and convert them into paying customers. I hope that helps. Wish you all the best.
Absolutely. So moving quickly, Veda, at GlobalLinker, one of our marquee products includes Linker Store, which is a tool or capability which allows businesses to create their own online store. So Jyoti Vadhwa says that I deal in vintage saris. I have a prominent presence on various marketplaces, but my own e-commerce store fails to get customers. I've tried Facebook advertising, but I'm not able to bank on it. Is there anything else that you could suggest?
I'm sorry, what does the e-commerce store provide?
Vintage saris.
I think here in this one is an interesting one. You're selling to Indian audiences, I would imagine, for the most part.
So she said eBay and Etsy, so
it's Indian audience. I'll tell you an interesting story. So I used to, during one of my earlier days, I used to take care of marketing and product for a company called cbazaar.in, which is called Chennai Bazaar, which is one of the India's earliest e-commerce companies, started in 98. Way before India's startup boom, and they're still around, by the way. And they provide essentially, vintage saris and customized saris, Indian ethnic wear, lehengas, kurtis, kurtas, sherwanis to Indians, both living in India and overseas. The diaspora living abroad, NRIs living abroad, US, Canada, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, etc., UK, and so on. The thing is, from an India perspective, even we are marketing to people in India, we never spent in marketing, in all honesty. The only thing that we did was SEO. We only focused on creating high quality pieces of content because in India, we noticed that the ASP was very low, especially for the category that we were operating in, because the touch and feel barrier was high, because people want to touch and feel a sari or a lehenga or a kurti or a kurta or a sherwani before they invest like 20,000 rupees, 15, 20, 25,000 rupees, etc., which is a large investment. So we decided to do, because if I've spent like $100 in acquiring a customer and they buy a 600 rupee ka kurti and they walk away, right? That's just not worth it. So the only thing we did for Indian audiences was SEO. We just focused on creating high quality content on keywords that were relevant, medium demand, ranking difficulty being low, those kinds of keywords. We started from there and grew from there. For overseas Indians, though, we focused on spending. Google search was the primary channel on which we spent a lot of money on, followed by Facebook. Both of these channels we spent money on. Plus, of course, affiliates was another one. I would recommend Commission Junction, cj.com, a place where you can go and sign up. Affiliate marketing is essentially like a marketplace where advertisers and bloggers or affiliates can essentially come together. So if I am Malavika runs a blog and I have a travel commerce company, Malavika runs a travel blog, she can sign up to become my affiliate. on cj.com. So she drives traffic for me. Anybody who converts from that traffic that she drives for me, the money that I make from that, I give her a cut. That's how affiliate marketing works. That is something that you could also try. Wish you all the very best. Hope that helped.
Right. So she clarified that was international markets, mainly USA, but you answered that bit as well. So moving quickly from a member that doesn't want to reveal his identity, but he says, I find it difficult to find genuine, reputed, full-fledged digital marketing agencies with majority in-house teams. We've had unpleasant experiences after working with almost 20 plus agencies, and we're finding it tough to find subject matter experts. Is there something that you can help narrow down on how do we shortlist these agencies?
So a good question that I'm often asked again. I think getting an agency, especially an agency that works in your price bracket, if you're an early stage bootstrap startup, is going to be difficult, because any good agency, they come with a 4 or 5 lakh monthly retainer. It's a fairly big expense for an early stage bootstrap startup. So, and because they also have their own overheads. What I in fact recommend to a lot of early stage startup friends is I tell them work with freelancers on Upwork. Upwork.com, just going to type the URL name. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of this and probably using it as well. So you get access to a global talent pool, very similar to picking products of Amazon. You get to see their ratings, reviews, their pedigree, and then you get to choose. And you can choose people as per your budget and your price bracket. You don't have, these people don't have the overheads that an agency has, right? So they come they charge at an hourly rate, or you can give them a fixed contract. And the other thing that I recommend is have either yourself or somebody junior whom you hire full time in your company to work with this freelancer. So let's say you decide to part ways with this freelancer 6, 9, 12 months down the line. The knowledge capital is still resident within your startup. That's what I would recommend. Wish you all the best.
Sure. And now there's a mix of questions around a similar focus, that what do I do for my organization in terms of marketing? For example, Anshika says, I plan to launch my supplement brand in the next 2-3 months in the form of gummies. We have a USP, but we don't have the right direction to market it. Should we go to PR firms or should we focus on digital marketing?
I think PR is a extremely underutilized aspect of marketing for sure. I think it helps with a lot of credibility. And there are like 2-3 ways in which you can create media exposure for your brand, right? There is organic marketing, SEO, all of that effort. There is paid marketing where you spend money. There is third one is earned media, which is the most difficult one, where a couple of ways at the highest level, in which you can generate earned media, which gives you a lot of trust, which is one is through social media shares, where I'm not spending money, but Malavika has 1,000 followers and gaining access to her followers. How? Because I posted something which was so awesome that Malavika decided to reshare it to her followers. That is one way in which I can create earned media, and that builds a lot of credibility. The second way is PR. Malavika is the editor of Economic Times. She's just published an interview with me, right? Interview featuring me. So my brand is getting exposed to Economic Times readership, right? That again is a great way for you to build earned media. However, having said that, it's difficult to crack. So PR is a very important engine that a lot of startups do not utilize often. So one of the things that I often recommend is make sure that you start networking and building these chemistry building sessions on your own with key people in media whom you work with. That is something which is very important. And keep feeding them regular nuggets of information, right? Instead of sounding like, you shouldn't sound like a salesperson to a media person. Always remember that, because they'll start ignoring you after that. As long as you can keep feeding them regular, because they're all hungry for news, they're all hungry for data. If you can make sure that you regularly keep feeding them data in the category that they are interested in, and just ask for credits in return, that is again a great way to build a lot of credibility. Of course, when it comes to digital marketing, please use the same framework that I mentioned earlier as well. Wish you all the best.
Sure. And a follow-on question, Veda, from Mr. Sri Harsha, slightly again, a different business type, but keywords have very less volume. So he says we're into manufacturing drilling tools for water well drilling and mining industry. Our target customers are not tech savvy. They're from rural backgrounds and their ability to connect digitally is very, very low. So the keyword volume has very less. Majority of our leads are directly mouth to mouth. Any suggestions on how do we reach out to our customers?
Yeah, but as rural customers, again, I think a lot of this won't really work that much. I would suggest local vernacular content, YouTube channels. Create a YouTube channel. If Hindi is the predominant language, if you can use English, that is ideal. So you don't alienate people who don't understand Hindi. So English you're kind of hedging your bets. You're not really alienating people from South India. You're still talking in a language that they can still understand for the most part. nor are you talking in Oxfordian English that your rural janta can't understand. So I would say English is a good option. YouTube channels, that would be my suggestion, amongst other things.
Right. A slightly different question is that from Nikki Shah. She says, our firm basically offers 3 different services and they're to 3 different types of audiences or corporates from small, medium and large. How do we market all of this under one brand or one framework, one website, targeting 3 different type of customers?
Okay, so you have 3 different product lines targeting 3 different customer segments which you're trying to offer. So in that case, what I would suggest is, see, one of the things you should have is, there are a couple of ways in which you can go about branding. One is the house of brands and the branded house approach, right? So house of brands approach is where you essentially have a collection of different brands. You won't even know they are from the same house, right? You only if you read the fine print will you know they're all from, say, Hindustan Lever or from P&G. Branded house is one where the mother brand comes in front, middle and center in every single product brand that goes there. You would know that this is the company. For example, Tata follows the branded house model. You know that it's from Tata Salt, is from the Tata House, right? Everything has a clear, very clear line of sight connection to the mother brand. That is the other option. If you're an early stage startup, to me, the branded house approach is always the better one, where each of your individual products have this clear connection to the mothership, which is your mother brand. And the other thing that I would recommend is, it's hard enough trying to market one brand as an early stage startup. If you're trying to market 2-3 brands, it gets even harder. What I would suggest is have one brand, which is your hero brand, which you go to market with from an acquisition perspective, and then try to use the other 2 brands as upsell, cross-sell motion, which you offer to your existing customers. That's what I would suggest.
Right. Point on. I think moving next to a question from Mr. Rohit. He says, our customers are serviced through wholesaler dealer networks. How do we use e-based marketing to reach more customers? So, Vera, before you answer this, I think at GlobalLinker, we have a product which is called BrandLinker, which honestly digitizes the entire supply chain, right from the manufacturer to distributor to wholesaler, retailer, and the end customer. So there's visibility, as well as these distributors and wholesalers can order online. So it's not that the manufacturer is sending a salesperson all the minimum order quantity, credit limit, discounts, all of that is customized. So if that's a product, Mr. Rohit, you'd like to explore, then please do reach out to us, and over to you, Veda.
So I think eBay offers you some... Sorry, were you saying something?
No.
So I think one of the things that you should do is, whether you're listed on eBay or listed on Amazon, they give you pretty strong advertising options. So certainly you can leverage that. But to me, the larger way forward is for you to build your own brand and to see if you can have a D2C approach where you disintermediate and you have a direct connect with all of your different prospects. So working on creating your own digital brand presence, creating your own website presence, that to me needs to be something that you work on as a plan B. Of course, eBay's advertising options, etc., are already existing, and you can certainly leverage that. That's what I would suggest.
Sure. Moving to the next question from Mr. Anil Agarwal, who says, first of all, great presentation. My question is that I'm providing a very niche service of foreign company registration in India, and also looking after their tax and regulatory compliances. Our clients may be foreign nationals looking for setting up business in India, or maybe even an Indian company who's looking to partnership with foreign companies. The problem is that there are many competitors providing similar service at almost the similar price. What should be our marketing strategy? Will Google PPC, Facebook, or LinkedIn work? Or should we opt for webinars outside India? Already doing all these, but nothing is working out.
I think Google PPC is certainly one option. I would imagine there will be a lot of, there should be sizable keyword search volumes, but don't just depend on that. And I would say yours is a fairly, I think you fall under category 3, where it may not be a very huge market. It's fairly niche. Personal connect is low. So I would say if you can go after, entrepreneurs who are based, there are some kind of surrogate indicators that you can look at and go after specific keyword sets, which even if they are slightly outside of the realm of relevance, of your business, go after keyword sets like those. So company registration in India, India tax regulation, if there are entrepreneurs searching for keywords such as these, going after keywords such as these and trying to get qualified leads. One of the mistakes that a lot of people make, which is the reason why a lot of B2B leads end up becoming junk, is they try to optimize for form fill. So if I'm creating a keyword pool such as this, right, which is company registration in India or India tax regulations, and going after keyword sets which are outside India, the traffic that I get in will still not be 100% relevant. Given the percentage conversion rates that are there, and if I've got a lead gen form fill, the people who do end up filling the lead gen may not necessarily, if it's a very seamless where everything is pre-filled, somebody has to just click submit to become a lead, a lot of riffraff and bad quality junk leads enter the system. So one of the things that you should do is in the lead processing system itself, especially given your B2B, quality is very important. Prioritize quality over quantity. Make sure that you increase the number of form fields, mandatory fields in your lead gen form to make sure that you only get serious prospects into your funnel. You remove all the riffraff. So for example, ask her questions like how many people, how many employees does your company have? How soon are you looking to go live, registered in India? Essentially filtering questions like this, which are mandatory. So only a serious, with no default, with no pre-fill. People have to choose it. Right. So don't just optimizing for quantity. Of your marketing team will tell you, I want, their target is to generate leads. They'll say that sab kuch pre-fill kar do. Don't do that. Make sure you optimize for quality of leads and only people who have filled out all of these, right? So those are the ones your sales team spends time with. So that is my recommendation. Wish you all the best.
Sure. Moving quickly on to the next question. I seem to have missed it earlier, but they've repeated it. We're into designing and production of luxury wedding invitations. How do we start digital marketing? We already have social media pages, but it's not really progressing.
I think in this case, I think Instagram and Facebook sound like a logical choice. It's also a function of obviously the kind of budgets that you have. But if you don't have enough budgets, then I would say focusing on creating high quality content, which helps you to rank on Google search results over time. That would be my suggestion. On relevant keywords, and marriage is a huge market in India. So there's going to be no dearth of keyword search volumes on Google. I don't need a Google search keyword research tool to tell me that, right? We already know that the keyword search volume should be through the roof. So I would say leveraging, creating high quality content on your blog, which will give you slow returns, but going after keywords which are medium demand, easy to rank, going after keywords like this will help you get that initial brand presence. Spending on Facebook, don't keep spending on Facebook as a BAU thing. Right, as a status quo thing where you spend every single month. Like I said, spend enough to get a critical mass of early adopters, then shut it off, convert those early adopters, then start a referral engine so that those set of initial early adopters can refer other customers for you. That would be my recommendation. Wish you all the best.
Right. Thank you for that, Veda. Moving quickly to possibly the last question for today on this call, but from Mr. Yash Jain. I'm a manufacturer of FMCG snacks and chips. I have to reach mass audiences in less time. And for that, should I follow a regular FMCG distribution model, or is there any other approach that you'd like to recommend to get a larger audience for the brand?
Sorry, you are selling chips. You're competing against FMCG chips manufacturers.
Snacks and kurkure, he says.
Wow, good luck with that. So I think one of the things is so there is this I don't know if you've heard of this company called Tags, right? They started by one of my good friends, Anish, who's my colleague at Healthy Family, by the way. And you should certainly check out Tags Chips. They were on Shark Tank as well, and they've done a fairly cool job when it comes to finding out their USP. Essentially, they have said this is healthy, but at the same time, tasty snacks, because a lot of healthy snacks, taste awful, right? And people give up their healthy eating habits because of that. So this is, healthy, but still good for the palate, which are still tasty snacks. That is their entire USP. They have gone about their entire acquisition strategy by, of course, their distribution-led model, wherein they make sure that their product is visible across all different chains. More from marketing, one of the things is from a distribution perspective, they make sure that their product is visible across all upmarket stores. They've got a very clear sense of which are the retail chains where they want to be present. So that is something they've taken care of. From a marketing perspective, again, I think the usual suspects, they spend a sizable amount. I know this for a fact on Google search. To make sure that they're able to get relevant keywords. They divert the traffic to their own website. They're available on obviously all the platforms out there, Amazon, every single place out there. But they also make sure that they divert traffic to their own website, which is again a great thing. They've also gone global recently because that's where the real money is. They figured out, because In India, in FMCG, it's a volume game. You can't really make a lot of margins on a product-to-product basis. And for a bootstrap or for a seed-funded kind of a company or a pre-Series A kind of a company, it gets very difficult to manage things. So they've also gone global. Now, I'm not too plugged into the FMCG business. The only reason I was able to answer whatever that I did is because I have a friend who's operating in a similar space. I hope that helped you. Wish you all the best.
Sure. So given that we are now bang on time, I think as always, Veda, we have a couple of unanswered questions. I'd invite all of you to post your questions on the GlobalLinker platform, and we'll be happy to have Veda answer all of them. So please do stay engaged. Thank you everybody for joining in. Thank you, Veda, for your valuable time, for your valuable insights, and I'm sure the audience has benefited drastically.
Yeah.
So
thank you so much for having me over, Malavika, and to the GlobalLinker team, and to all of the people who've turned up here today. An absolute pleasure. Love to stay in touch. I have a fairly unique name, fairly easy to find on LinkedIn. So please do reach out, stay in touch. Wish you all the best. Good health. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thanks.